Hi everyone, how you doing? It's Paul here from Unusual Things. Now today I'm back at Golders Green yet again because I love this place so much. It's not, I filmed it all on the same day, but I've got to put them out as separate videos just to justify driving all this way. You know that by now, don't you? Anyway, today we're going to talk about and find the memorial plaque and where the ashes were scattered for the legend that is Mr. Keith Moon. Drummer of The Who, of course. I'll tell you a little bit more about him real soon. But boy, oh boy, what a character he was. What a life he led. Don't forget, if you like the video today, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And of course, leave me your comments down below. Have you ever seen The Who live perform? Did you ever meet Keith? I want to hear that story if you did. And leave your comments down below, won't you? Because I love reading the comments. Some of you are naughty. Some of you leave good ones. Some of you leave funny ones. Some of you I just can't repeat on air what you leave. Anyway, yeah, leave your comments and I'll tell you a little bit more now about Keith Moon, the legend. Keith John Moon, 23rd of August 1946 to the 7th of September 1978, was an English drummer for the rock band The Who. He was noted for his unique style of playing and his eccentric, often self-destructive behaviour. Keith John Moon was born on 23rd of August 1946 at Central Middlesex Hospital in northwest London and grew up in Wembley in the UK. He was hyperactive as a boy with a restless imagination and a particular fondness for the Goon Show and music. Moon attended Alperton Secondary Modern School after failing his 11+ exam, which precluded his attending a grammar school. His art teacher said in a report, "retarded artistically, idiotic in other aspects." His music teacher wrote that Moon has great ability, but must guard against the tendency to show off. Moon took lessons from one of the loudest contemporary drummers, screaming Lord Sutch's Carlo Little at 10 shillings per lesson. Moon's early star was influenced by jazz American surf music and rhythm and blues, amplified by noted Los Angeles studio drummer Hal Blaine. His favourite musicians were jazz artists, particularly Gene Krupa, whose flamboyant style he subsequently copied. Moon also admired Elvis Presley's original drummer, DJ Fontana, The Shadows' original drummer, Tony Meehan, and the Pretty Things' Viv Prince. He also enjoyed swinging with a particular interest in Motown. Moon idolised the Beach Boys. Roger Daltrey later said that given the opportunity, Moon would have left to play for the California band, even at the peak of The Who's fame. A commonly cited story of how Moon joined The Who in 1964 is that he appeared at a show shortly after Sandham's departure, where a session drummer was used. Dressed in ginger clothes and with his hair dyed ginger, future bandmate Pete Townsend later described him as a ginger vision. He claimed to his would-be bandmates that he could play better. He played in the set's second half, nearly demolishing the drum kit in the process. In the words of the drummer, they said, "Go ahead," and I got behind the other guy's drums and did one song, Roadrunner. I'd had several drinks to encourage me to get up, and when I got on stage I went, "Ah!" on the drums, broke the bass drum, pedal and 2 skins and got off. I figured that was it. I was scared to death. Afterwards I was sitting at the bar and Pete came over. He said, "You, come here." I said, "Mild as you please." "Yes?" And Roger, who was the spokesman then, said, "What are you doing Monday?" I said, "Nothing. I was working during the day selling plaster." He said, "You'll have to give up work. There's this gig on Monday. If you want to come, we'll pick you up in the van." I said, "Right. That's it." Moon later claimed that he was never formally invited to join The Who permanently when Ringo Starr asked how he had joined the band. He said he had just been filling in for the last 15 years. Moon's arrival in The Who changed the dynamics of the group. Sandham had generally been the peacemaker of Daltrey and Townsend, who would often feud between themselves. Because of Moon's temperament, the group now had 4 members frequently in conflict. "We used to fight regularly," remembered Moon in the later years. "John Entwistle and I used to have fights. It wasn't very serious, it was more of an emotional spur-of-the-moment thing." Moon also clashed with Daltrey and Townsend. "We really have absolutely nothing common apart from the music," he later said in an interview. Although Townsend described him as a completely different person to anyone I've ever met, the pair had a rapport in the early years and enjoyed practical jokes and improvised comedy. Moon's drumming style affected the band's musical structure. Although Entwistle initially found Moon's lack of conventional timekeeping problematic, it created an original sound. Moon was particularly fond of touring, since it was the only chance that he regularly got to socialise with his bandmates, and he was generally restless and bored when not playing live. This later carried on to other aspects of his life.
as he acted them out, according to journalist and Who biographer Dave Marsh. As if his life were one long tour, these antics earned him the nickname Moon the Loon. The Beatles became friends with Moon, and this led to the occasional collaborations. In 1967, he contributed backing vocals to All You Need Is Love. On the 15th of December 1969, Moon joined John Lennon's Plastic Ono Band for a live performance at the Lyceum Theatre in London for a UNICEF charity concert. In 1972, the performance was released as a companion disc to Lennon's and Ono's album Sometime in New York City. In 1975, Moon began a relationship with Swedish model Annette Walter Lax, who later said that Moon was so sweet when he was sober, that I was just living with him in the hope that he would kick all of this craziness into tuck. She begged Malibu neighbour Larry Hagman to check Moon into a clinic to dry out, as he attempted to do so before. But when doctors recorded Moon's chemical intake at breakfast, a bottle of champagne, Courvoisier and amphetamines, they concluded that there was no hope for his rehabilitation. In mid-1978, Moon moved into flat 12-9 Curzon Place, later Curzon Square, Shepherd Market, Mayfair, London, renting from Harry Nilsson. Cass Elliot of the Mamas and the Papas had died there 4 years earlier at the age of 32. Nilsson was concerned about letting the flat to Moon, believing it was cursed. Townsend disagreed, assuring him that lightning wouldn't strike in the same place twice. On the 6th of September, Moon and Walter Lax were guests of Paul and Linda McCartney at a preview of the film The Buddy Holly Story. After drinking with the McCartneys at Peppermint Park in Covent Garden, Moon and Walter Lax returned to their flat. He watched the film The Abominable Dr. Phibes and asked Walter Lax to cook him steak and eggs. When she objected, Moon replied, "If you don't like it, you can f*** off." These were his last words. Moon then took some clomifezolol tablets. When Walter Lax later checked on him the following afternoon, she discovered he was dead.
So there's all the information there on Keith Moon. What a man he was. Right, now Keith Moon, he had his ashes scattered into the ground, which is usually unusual. Sometimes they plant them with the rose bush, or sometimes they just put a memorial plaque there, but he actually had his ashes, and I'll show you where before we go to his memorial plaque, because I believe it's disposal area 3 for Keith. Yeah, let's go and have a look. That's a bit close to me, isn't it? Got a big enough head as it is. Right, so look. Here we go. Visitors are asked to keep to the grass paths, which is along there through there, but his ashes were actually spread into area 3, which is unusual, because sometimes they plant them with the tree, or people take the ashes home and just leave a memorial plaque, whatever they want to do. But yeah, Keith's out there. So Keith Moon is out there somewhere. He's always been out there somewhere. Bless him. But yeah, that's where he is. And then over that side is where we went to see Mark Bolan before. See what statue of a man is? I don't know. Let me zoom in. Just to give you a little bit of context here, what's going on. Yeah, there. And then the Mark Bolan bench is sort of, it looks a bit weird, but it's just behind and to the left a little bit of him. So there you go. But anyway, we're here to talk about Keith Moon. So there's Keith Moon's place of rest. So that's Keith Moon's place of rest. And now we will go and find his plaque. Must be cold this morning. My hands are turning blue. I've seen this pond before. Anyway, let's have a little look around here, shall we? I think I found him. How could you miss him? Look, he's up there next to Mark Bolan. Keith Moon, Who drummer, 1946, 1978. There is no substitute. Wow. What a legend. Now you know that I would normally go and touch the plaque. I'm 5'10". That looks like it's about 8 foot in the air. So that's not happening today. But we will, Keith, I'm sure you won't appreciate that, but Keith, thank you. What a legend, what a guy. So you have it, there's all the information, and the final resting place of Keith Moon, the Who drummer, absolute legend, really great guy. And that's it from me for this week. If you like the video, don't forget to hit the like button if you want to subscribe to it as well. And hit the notification bell, and I'll see you all on the next one. Take it easy.